Hey there, sleepyheads, and welcome back to our quiet corner of history where the past unfolds at a gentle, unhurried pace, perfect for drifting off. Tonight we're not just observing. You're stepping directly into the bustling, complex and often astonishing world of ancient Rome, not as a casual tourist, but as a silent participant in its most exclusive gatherings. As you settle deeper into the quiet of this evening, perhaps consider a gentle tap on the subscribe button and a soft like on the video. Only, of course, if these historical whispers find a welcome place in your thoughts. And feel free to share a quiet hello in the comments below, letting us know where you're drifting from tonight. Allow your mind to softly drift as we journey back to a time where every social interaction was a carefully choreographed dance, and even a simple invitation held layers of unspoken meaning. You awaken not to the chirping of birds or the soft glow of a digital alarm, but to the distant muffled sounds of a city already awake. The creak of cartwheels on cobblestones, the murmur of voices rising from the street, and the persistent, almost comforting hum of a vast ancient metropolis going about its ceaseless business. You're in Rome, but not the Rome of your history books filled with grand emperors and epic battles. You're in your Rome, a member of its elite, and even your slumber is defined by the rigid, unyielding social hierarchy that forms the very bedrock of this colossal empire. You breathe in the dry, slightly dusty air perhaps, with the faint lingering scent of last night's lamp oil, or the distant aroma of baking bread, and you understand instinctively that your place in this world is both a privilege and a cage. You exist within an immutable system, a social architecture crafted over centuries as fixed and imposing as the Capitoline Hill itself. There are patricians born into the most ancient families, tracing their lineage back to the city's founders, often with an almost divine sense of entitlement. Then there are the equestrians, the cavalry class, wealthy landowners and businessmen whose fortunes might rival or even surpass some patricians, but whose bloodlines are seen as slightly less pure, less hallowed. Below them, the vast populace of plebeians, the common free citizens who hold legal rights, but often struggle for economic stability and political influence. And at the very bottom, yet utterly indispensable, are the freedmen, former slaves who have earned or bought their liberty, and the slaves themselves, an omnipresent, silent force, the very infrastructure upon which this entire glittering complex society rests. You waking in your villa are undeniably part of the upper echelons, a senator, a respected poet, a general, or perhaps even a priestess, depending on the particular morning you're living. Your breakfast served by a quiet hand reinforces this reality. You're not fetching your own water, nor are you worrying about the day's meagre rations. Your existence is cushioned by layers of unseen labour, a reality you accept as naturally as the rising sun. Your very identity is intertwined with this stratified composition. The names you know, the faces you see, the invitations that might arrive later today, all are filtered through this lens of rank. You recognise the subtle cues, the way a junior senator defers to an older, more established patrician, the effortless ease with which a wealthy equestrian commands a room, the almost invisible movements of those who serve. It's not just a system of titles, it's a living, breathing set of expectations and limitations that defines your every interaction, your every ambition. You understand that your opportunities, your access to education, even the choice of your future spouse, are largely predetermined by the circumstances of your birth. There's a certain comfort in this preordained path, perhaps a clarity, but also the ever-present weight of expectation. You're a product of your lineage, a vessel for its continued honour, and every step you take in the quiet dawn of Rome reverberates with the silent, inescapable legacy of your family name. Your position inherited and largely immutable grants you comforts that the vast majority of Rome's populace could only dream of, yet it also casts a long shadow of expectation. Your birthright isn't merely a status, it's a meticulously woven tapestry of obligations, privileges, and predefined paths. You understand that your access to the Senate, to a prestigious priesthood, or even to the best tutors for your children is less about individual merit and more about the name etched into your family's history. It dictates the kind of invitations you receive, or more accurately, the kind you expect to receive. It shapes the alliances your family seeks, the marriages arranged, the political careers pursued. You're in essence a living embodiment of your lineage, a continuous link in a chain that stretches back centuries, and the weight of that chain, while comforting in its security, is also immensely heavy. You feel it in the subtle pressure to uphold your family's dignities, to avoid any public faux pas that might tarnish not just your name, but the collective honour of generations. Beneath this glittering surface of elite life, yet utterly foundational, lies the silent, tireless machinery of slavery. You barely register their presence most of the time, so ingrained are they in the fabric of your daily existence. They are the trained shadows moving through your villa, adjusting the cushions on your dining couch, fetching chilled wine, sweeping away the dust that seems to perpetually gather despite their constant efforts. Their ubiquity is such that you often see them as an extension of the household itself, a crucial, indispensable layer of infrastructure. Without their unceasing labour, the very leisure that defines your social class, the grand parties you attend, the complex meals you consume would simply cease to exist. They are the gears and levers of this opulent machine working from dawn till dusk, and often through the night, enabling your quiet mornings and lavish evenings. You might hear the soft shuffle of their sandals on marble, the distant clinking of pottery from the kitchens, or the low murmur of their voices from the servants' quarters, but these are merely background noise easily filtered out by your privileged ear. At the very apex of this sprawling pyramid sits the emperor, a figure whose symbolic authority, while often a subject of political manoeuvring and military power plays, still casts an undeniable aura. You might never interact with him directly, but his decrees, his temperament and his image subtly influence your world. Below him the hierarchy cascades through a complex web of consuls, senators, praetors and military commanders, each with their own spheres of influence and expectations of unquestioning obedience from those beneath them. You navigate this intricate web, daily understanding the nuances of power, the subtle shifts in allegiances and the constant dance of deference and assertion. It is a world where every public gesture, every alliance forged, every word spoken or left unsaid, is a strategic move in a continuous game of influence. Despite the apparent rigidity, there is a flicker of social mobility, a subtle upward or downward drift that keeps the ambitious on their toes and the complacent wary. A particularly wealthy freedman might, through sheer economic power, gain a degree of social acceptance, though never fully shedding the stigma of their origins. A patrician family, through poor decisions or political missteps, could see their influence wane, their name lose some of its lustre. But these are exceptions, deviations from the deeply ingrained norm. Crossing these fundamental lines, even informally perhaps at a party where inhibitions are loosened, carries significant social risks. A misstep could brand you and by extension your family with a reputation that could take generations to shed. Status, you learn quickly, is not simply given. It is constantly asserted, subtly reinforced and fiercely defended through every interaction, a quiet, almost imperceptible struggle that unfolds in the very air you breathe. This pervasive unseen competition provides the essential energy for the engine of the Roman economy. You feel the very ground beneath your marble floor, or perhaps the rustle of the silk tunic against your skin, as a direct consequence of this vast, intricate economic engine. Your wealth isn't abstract. It's rooted in the earth, in the sprawling olive groves that stretch for miles beyond the city, in the golden fields of grain swaying in the summer breeze, and in the sun-drenched vineyards that cling to distant hillsides. The Roman economy at its heart is a formidable agrarian machine, the cultivation of staples like grain which feeds the surging population of Rome and olives, pressed into the oil that lubricates every aspect of life from cooking to bathing, forms the bedrock of fortunes. You see the evidence of this in the quality of the olive oil poured into your lamps in the bread served at your table, a stark contrast to the rougher, often scarcer fare available to the city's plebeian masses. This agricultural bounty, however, is merely the foundation upon which a grander, more complex edifice is built, an extensive network of trade. This trade brings in not only necessities but luxuries binding the Mediterranean world and beyond into Rome's economic orbit. Spices from the east, fine fabrics from Egypt, rare metals from distant mines. These flow into the city, enriching merchants and ultimately the elite who can afford them. This combination of deep agricultural roots and far-reaching trade generates the vast, almost unimaginable wealth concentrated in the hands of your class. It's this very wealth that allows you to lead a life of opulent consumption, to host the lavish parties, and to maintain the grand villas that are both your home and your statement of power. You understand that every pearl adorning a guest's neck, every exotic fruit on a platter, every amphora of fine wine represents a thread in this global economic web meticulously spun to serve your comfort and status. The single most significant driver of this wealth, however, is not just trade or agriculture, but the sheer scale of land ownership. Your family, like others of your standing, possesses vast agricultural estates, known as latifundia, stretching across the Italian countryside and even into the provinces. These aren't mere farms. They are sprawling, almost self-sufficient enterprises overseen by stewards cultivated by legions of labourers. Control over these lands, as well as valuable urban properties within Rome itself, is the fundamental, unwavering source of patrician and equestrian wealth. This land provides not only sustenance, the raw ingredients for the sophisticated cuisine you enjoy, but crucially enormous profit. The harvests are sold, the olive oil pressed, the wine bottled, all generating a steady, often immense stream of income that fuels your extravagant social displays. You might visit these estates perhaps for a brief respite from the city and witness the meticulous organisation, the sheer scale of the operation, but you are always the owner, never the labourer. And who, you might quietly ponder, performs this ceaseless, often gruelling labour? The answer is as simple as it is profound: slaves. The widespread institution of slavery is absolutely crucial to the Roman economy, the silent, omnipresent engine that makes everything else possible. Slaves provide the physical labour for agriculture, toiling in the fields under the Mediterranean sun, ensuring your granaries are full. They staff your urban properties, maintaining your townhouses, running your businesses and managing your workshops. Most intimately, they serve in your domestic sphere, from the cooks in your kitchens, who prepare dishes of unimaginable complexity, to the valets who help you dress, to the numerous unseen hands that maintain the immaculate order of your villa. Without their unseen, uncompensated work, the leisure you enjoy, the elaborate social events you attend, the very foundations of your elite existence would crumble. Their quiet, efficient movements, the faint sounds of their work in the background, are the constant, often unheard symphony that props up the entire system. You might occasionally give an instruction, perhaps a subtle nod, but mostly their presence is absorbed into the tapestry of your life. This complex interplay of land labour and lavish consumption is further enabled by the subtle yet powerful mechanisms that manage the empire's wealth. You might not directly handle the day-to-day accounting of the empire, but you understand that your family's vast wealth, and indeed the state's very capacity to function, relies on a sophisticated system of currency and taxation. While the details of the denarius or the intricacies of the tax collectors might seem distant during a lavish banquet, they are the invisible threads that weave the fabric of your prosperity. You're insulated from the common coin, perhaps, but you understand the weight of a gold aureus, its metallic gleam, a tangible representation of your influence. Tax is sometimes grumbled about in hushed tones, like the new tax on olive oil. A direct levy on one of your primary sources of income are a necessary evil. They fund the legions that protect your trade routes, the public works that enhance Rome's grandeur, and the very infrastructure that allows your vast estates to thrive. You see the legions marching through the city, the aqueducts arcing across the landscape, and you implicitly acknowledge the quid pro quo. A portion of your wealth ensures the stability that protects the rest. This system, though sometimes burdensome, is what ensures the continued flow of resources both within Italy and from the farthest reaches of the empire directly to your coffers. The visible manifestation of this economic power is perhaps most dramatically displayed in the luxury trade and imports that adorn your life. The ability to command exotic goods from across the known world is not merely about comfort, it's a profound statement of influence. Imagine the spices that scent your food, saffron from the East Black Pepper from India, arriving through arduous sea and land routes. Consider the rare wines, perhaps a particularly potent vintage from the Greek islands, or a sweet aromatic varietal from Gaul ferried across treacherous waters. Think of the fine fabrics, the shimmering silks from China, the exquisite linens from Egypt that drape your couches and clothe your guests. Even ornamental animals brought from distant lands might occasionally make an appearance, adding a touch of the truly extraordinary to your villa. These aren't just purchases, they're triumphs of logistics, testaments to Rome's far-reaching economic might, and clear indicators of the immense purchasing power held by its wealthiest citizens. Each imported item tells a story of distant lands, perilous journeys, and the intricate web of trade that serves your refined tastes. It fuels the visual and sensory spectacle of the parties you host, transforming them into veritable showcases of global reach and personal opulence. This flow of wealth isn't just a static accumulation, it's dynamically managed through a pervasive system of patronage. You as a person of standing are almost certainly a patron with a network of clients who rely on your support and protection. These clients, perhaps plebeians seeking legal aid, freedmen needing a loan to start a business, or even poorer noble families looking for political advancement, offer their loyalty, votes and services in return. This system isn't just a social custom, it's a key part of the economic and social structure, linking economic power directly to social influence and political leverage. Your wealth grants you clients, and your clients provide you with a power base, a political, following a ready workforce, a network of informants. You might spend a part of your morning receiving clients, listening to their petitions, offering advice, or simply accepting their daily greetings. This interaction, though seemingly informal, is a vital mechanism for distributing wealth and consolidating power, ensuring that resources flow upwards and outwards, reinforcing the existing hierarchy. Yet even as you indulge in this carefully constructed world, you're implicitly aware that forces beyond your control loom, forces that most Romans know far more intimately. You exist within this opulent bubble, a privileged stratum cushioned by wealth and shielded by layers of human industry, yet beneath the surface of this meticulously constructed comfort, the raw, indifferent forces of nature still churn. While the majority of Romans, the plebeians, the urban poor, the villagers live in an almost constant state of precariousness, acutely vulnerable to the whims of the environment, your experience is markedly different. You might hear whispers of a failed harvest in Sicily, reports of a devastating flood along the Tiber's banks that swamped the lower districts, or perhaps news of a prolonged drought in North Africa impacting grain supplies. These are not distant academic facts. They are real events that can plunge thousands into famine, drive up prices in the forum, and even spark civil unrest. But for you, they are often filtered through the lens of market reports, adjusted inventories, and perhaps a temporary minor inconvenience to your household's provisions. You're insulated by virtue of your vast land holdings and extensive trade networks from the immediate devastating impacts of such natural fury. Imagine for a moment the sheer terror of a typhoon battering the coastal villages, or the earth trembling beneath fragile wooden homes, as it often does in regions of the empire. For the ordinary Roman, such events meant ruin, displacement, death. For you, the villa's robust stone and marble construction designed to withstand the elements provides an almost impenetrable fortress. You might feel a tremor, hear the distant rumble of a storm, but your primary concern might be the integrity of your imported roof tiles or the cleanliness of your cistern. There's an implicit understanding that your resources, your connections and your very living conditions provide a buffer, a protective barrier against the chaotic unpredictability of the natural world. You consume fine wines and exotic foods, while others, perhaps in the very city outside your gates, grapple with scarcity. The occasional inconvenience to your supply chain, perhaps a delay in the arrival of a rare spice, is a world away from the desperate struggle for survival that grips those less fortunate. This stark contrast highlights the vast chasm between your daily reality and that of the common Roman, a chasm that few ever truly comprehended, let alone crossed. This insulation fosters an illusion of control, a sense that the world bends to your will and resources. The lavishness of your parties, the seemingly endless supply of exotic goods, the sheer scale of your villa and its retinue of slaves all contribute to this powerful, pervasive delusion of abundance. You live in a world where scarcity, at least for you, is largely a foreign concept, a problem for others. The idea that a single crop failure could bring your household to its knees is absurd. You have multiple estates, diverse investments, and enough stored provisions to weather many seasons of bad luck. This constant visible demonstration of wealth reinforces the belief that your class is somehow immune to the universal threats that plague humanity. You build grand aqueducts, divert rivers, and conquer territories, all contributing to this powerful narrative of human dominion over nature. It's easy when your villa is perpetually well stocked, and your servants tirelessly attentive to forget the delicate balance of existence for everyone else. You might glance out from your peristyle garden, perhaps during a particularly fierce rainstorm, and see the sodden, muddy streets below the huddled figures seeking what shelter they can find. You might hear the distant cries of a child or the mournful wail of a vendor whose stall has been ruined. And for a fleeting moment, a sliver of that precarious reality might pierce your comfortable bubble. But then a servant is there offering a fresh goblet of wine or a quiet question about your evening plans, and the illusion of control, the gentle hum of your privileged existence snaps back into place. You're safe, you're warm, you're fed, and that in Rome is a statement of profound power, a constant unspoken reassurance that subtly shapes your physical well-being. Even within the thick comforting walls of your villa, amidst the fragrant air and the soft murmur of privilege, a more insidious, invisible threat constantly circulates. You might be insulated from the raw force of a typhoon or the crushing weight of famine, but you're not entirely immune to the subtle, relentless creep of disease. In ancient Rome, the understanding of public health, while advanced for its time with impressive aqueducts bringing fresh water and an extensive sewer system, was still rudimentary by modern standards. You would know of bad air, miasma, believed to carry illness and perhaps the balance of humours in the body, but the microscopic invaders, the viruses and bacteria, remained entirely invisible, their silent work all the more terrifying for being unseen. For the vast majority of Rome's populace, disease was a constant companion, a grim reaper lurking in every crowded tenement, every stagnant puddle, every unwashed market stall. For you, the elite, your position offers a degree of protection. Your living spaces are better ventilated, often with open courtyards that invite fresh air. Your diet is richer, more varied, and generally more nutritious than that of the plebeians, strengthening your constitution. You also have access to the era's best physicians, whose knowledge, though limited, might still provide some comfort or a rudimentary cure. You'd probably avoid the public baths if an epidemic was rumoured preferring your private bathing chambers, understanding instinctively the dangers of crowded public spaces. Yet the very act of living in a bustling city, and especially the frequent gatherings that define your social life inherently exposes you to risk. Consider the atmosphere of a typical Roman party, a grand affair within your very own villa. Dozens, perhaps even hundreds of people are gathered. They recline on couches eating from shared platters, drinking from goblets refilled by a stream of servants. Bodies are in close proximity, breaths mingle in the perfumed air. A slight cough from a guest, a sniffle discreetly hidden behind a hand, the lingering, almost sweet-sick scent of unidentifiable illness that occasionally undercuts the aroma of roses and roasted meats. These are all subtle harbingers. You might notice a guest looking a little too pale, their eyes a little too bright with fever, but politeness dictates you do not stare, do not comment. The veneer of perfect health is just another part of the elaborate social performance. It's an ironic dance you seek pleasure, connection, and social advancement, all while unwittingly participating in a perfect incubator for whatever ailment is currently making its rounds through the city. The anxiety, though often suppressed, is real. The fear of the fever, a common term for any number of debilitating, potentially fatal illnesses, or a more widespread plague, is a quiet undercurrent beneath the revelry. You understand that falling seriously ill, particularly for a woman, could not only threaten your life, but also temporarily remove you from the social sphere, impacting your reputation and influence. A prolonged illness might lead to whispers of weakness, of a poor constitution, or even worse, of some moral failing that has invited divine displeasure. So even as you recline enjoying the latest scandalous anecdote or a particularly potent vintage, there's a subconscious awareness of your own physical vulnerability, a small persistent voice reminding you that even your wealth cannot entirely buy immunity from the inescapable realities of the human body and the invisible world within it. This constant, unseen presence of disease, a quiet counterpoint to the opulent displays, subtly shapes the rhythms of daily existence, making your grand villa not just a home, but a meticulously designed stage for life's dramas. Your villa, this sprawling testament to your family's enduring power and prosperity, is far more than just a home. It is a meticulously designed stage. From the moment the heavy ancient gates creak open, releasing a low resonant groan that seems to echo through centuries, the tone is set. You, or rather your villa, immediately projects an image of sophisticated, albeit weathered opulence. Guests stepping across your threshold are not just entering a building, they're entering a carefully curated experience, a physical manifestation of your status. The cool marble columns, perhaps imported from distant quarries, rise majestically, guiding the eye upwards. Your intricate mosaic floors depicting scenes from mythology or geometric patterns of astonishing complexity are not merely decorative but durable art underfoot, each tiny tessera a testament to wealth and patience. And then there are the courtyards, serene and often open to the sky, offering glimpses of lush greenery and the soft continuous murmur of discreet fountains. These are spaces designed for contemplation, for quiet conversations, and for the gentle flow of air, providing a refreshing contrast to the often stifling heat of the Roman summer. You understand that every architectural choice, from the grand entrance to the smallest detail of a frescoed wall, contributes to the overall narrative of your family's prestige. It's a silent language spoken through stone and pigment, conveying generations of history and an unshakable place in Rome's elite. This grandeur isn't just for show. It shapes the very way interactions unfold, imbuing them with a sense of formality and significance. As the evening progresses, the stage morphs from grand to intimate, with guests reclining on low, often oddly angled and deeply suspicious couches. This quintessential Roman dining posture, the triclinium, is a carefully cultivated art form. You learn to balance a plate of delicate morsels on one hand, a goblet of wine in the other, all while maintaining an air of effortless grace. The cushions beneath you, made of the finest silk or other imported fabrics, are plush and soft, a stark contrast to the hard stone floors beneath. These aren't just for comfort. They are visual markers of status, frequently adjusted by silent servants, who move with practiced ease, ensuring every guest maintains their perfect relaxed pose. The plush softness against your skin, the subtle shift as a servant unobtrusively plumps a cushion beneath your elbow, provides both physical ease and a constant gentle reminder of the layers of service that separate your experience from the toil of the ordinary Roman. This blend of comfort and performance is central to the Roman party experience, a dance between indulgence and display. The very air you breathe within the villa is an active participant in this immersive experience. It's thick, almost tangible, with the rich, intoxicating scents of wine, roses, and ambition. The fruity, fermented notes of the wine mingle with the sweet, heady perfume of fresh roses, often strewn across the floors or arranged in elaborate garlands. But beneath these more pleasant aromas you might catch the subtle, metallic tang of burning lamp oil, or the more earthy scent of hearth ash from the braziers that might be needed on a cooler evening, and perhaps from deeper within the villa the distant exotic aromas of intricate cooking. This layered olfactory experience creates a sensual and somewhat disorienting atmosphere, a deliberate assault on the senses designed to loosen inhibitions and enhance the feeling of otherworldliness. And then there is the music. A lyre played tastefully like foreplay for the ears offers a soft, continuous backdrop to the conversations. It's never intrusive, never demanding attention, but rather a gentle current upon which the evening drifts. The delicate plucking of strings, the low melodic hum contribute significantly to the overall calming yet subtly seductive atmosphere. It soothes, it relaxes, but it also in its understated way signals a space where the everyday rules are slightly bent, where pleasure is not just permitted but encouraged. This carefully orchestrated sensory immersion from the visuals of grandeur to the tactile comfort of the cushions, the complex aromas and the soothing sounds transforms your villa into a sanctuary of cultivated indulgence, far removed from the mundane realities outside its gates. As you recline in this sanctuary of cultivated indulgence enveloped by the orchestrated sensory feast, you're acutely aware of the stark difference in comfort between your experience and that of the silent figures moving around you. Your cushioned recliners, the cool marble beneath your bare feet, the space that allows you to stretch and relax. These are luxuries utterly alien to the trained shadows who glide through the crowded spaces of your villa. Servants, often slaves, move with an almost ethereal efficiency, their presence meant to be unobtrusive, yet they are the very engine of the party. You see them, or rather you sense them always on their feet for hours on end, navigating the intricate dance of a bustling event with grace and speed, often carrying heavy trays or refilling goblets with practiced ease. Their quiet, efficient presence is a silent hum of activity, a constant counterpoint to the lively mingling and boisterous laughter of the guests. While you might engage in witty banter, their communication is often through glances, subtle nods, and precise, almost ritualistic movements. They are always working, always serving a living backdrop to your leisure. You might observe a young slave girl fanning a reclining guest with a large leaf, her face impassive, her arm muscles likely aching. Or perhaps a sturdy man pouring wine with surgical precision, somehow knowing who prefers the dry Falernian and who favours the sweeter vintages, his own thirst unquenched. Their personal comfort is non-existent. Their bodies are tools for your convenience, their faces masks of perfect deference. The sheer physical stamina required of them moving through the villa's expansive layout, ascending and descending stairs, weaving through conversations, is a silent testament to the raw labour that underpins your ease. The very architecture of your villa, which seems so grand and openly designed for your enjoyment, also subtly facilitates these disparate realities. It is meticulously conceived with multiple open spaces, the central atrium, the peristyle garden, the grand dining triclinia, all designed for public mingling and grand displays. Yet nestled within this openness are concealed alcoves, archways draped with fluttering curtains and more intimate, softly lit chambers. These are not merely decorative elements. They are strategic architectural choices designed to facilitate various levels of interaction. You might engage in a public discussion in the atrium, move to a more private corner of the peristyle for a whispered confidence, or slip behind a curtained archway for a more suggestive intimate encounter. The play of torchlight on polished marble surfaces, the shifting shadows cast by architectural elements, creates a dynamic, ever-changing visual landscape, lending an almost theatrical quality to these transitions. The villa, therefore, is a carefully orchestrated stage where every detail, every design choice, from the grand columns to the concealed nooks, plays a role in the intricate social drama. The architecture both displays your wealth and facilitates the complex social dances that unfold within its walls. The flickering light from oil lamps and braziers dances across the vibrant frescoes, making mythological figures seem to move, lending an air of magic and fleeting beauty to the scene. The shadows lengthen and shorten, creating a sense of dynamic movement, even in still corners, hinting at secrets and veiled intentions. You understand, perhaps not consciously but instinctively, that the villa is an extension of yourself, a silent partner in your social engineering, helping to shape the evening's permissible boundaries and guide the subtle flow of human connection. The soft rustle of heavy fabrics, the gentle clinking of goblets, the murmur of conversation, all these sounds are contained within these walls, part of the immersive experience, yet also serving to isolate you from the world outside, creating a contained universe of privilege where food is not just sustenance but an art form, a statement. As the evening truly begins to unfurl within the meticulously designed stage of your villa, your attention inevitably turns to the lavish displays of food. This is not merely dinner, it is a profound declaration, a visible indicator of immense wealth that contrasts starkly with the monotonous, often scarce daily diet of most Romans. You know that outside these walls the vast majority subsist on a relatively humble diet of bread, gruel, lentils, and perhaps a small amount of vegetables or cheap fish if they are lucky. The extravagance laid before you, therefore, is not just a feast for the senses, but a powerful, unspoken assertion of your elite status, an edible monument to your economic power. It is a rare indulgence, a moment of pure, unadulterated plenty that few others in this vast empire will ever experience. Platters are laden overflowing with both common delicacies and exotic imports. You might reach for the succulent figs, plump and sweet, their skin glistening in the torchlight. Oysters flown in fresh from the coast are arranged in delicate, suggestive spirals, their pearlescent shells hinting at both luxury and a subtle sensuality. Elaborately shaped bread loaves baked with fine flour contrast sharply with the coarse, often gritty bread of the common people. You see plump grapes, sometimes even hand-fed by a nearby servant, their roundness bursting with sweetness. And then the grand roasts, possibly a boar, possibly something else that had a name and regrets, its roasted flesh gleaming, perhaps garnished with herbs or fruit. Each dish is a testament to the skill of your chefs, the reach of your trade networks, and the depth of your coffers. Many of these ingredients, particularly the exotic spices from the east, or rare fruits from distant provinces, would have been highly prized imports, incredibly expensive and difficult to acquire. The pungent aroma of cinnamon, the subtle heat of pepper, the sweet complexity of dates. These flavours tell a story of arduous journeys across deserts and seas, of daring merchants and skilled negotiators. Your guests recognise these subtle cues. They understand that your ability to procure such rare delicacies reflects not only your personal wealth but also your influence and connections across the empire. The potent spicy tang of these foods lingers on your palate, a complex symphony of flavours that stimulates your senses and reminds you of the privileged world you inhabit. The preparation and presentation of these meals are nothing short of meticulous, transforming mere sustenance into edible art. This is not just cooking, it is performance. Items are shaped erotically or symbolically designed to provoke conversation, amusement, and sometimes a little shock. You might see a fig carved to resemble a specific body part or an entire roasted fish, presented as if swimming its scales gleaming. Roasts are often decorated with fruits in places that fruits don't belong, creating a visual spectacle that transcends simple gastronomy. This theatricality elevates dining into a full-blown event, a stage where the food itself is a protagonist designed to both nourish the body and stimulate the mind, to entertain as much as to sate. Every dish is a conversation starter, a piece of edible commentary on the evening's unfolding decadence. But amidst all this intricate artistry and exotic flavour, one element stands out as pervasive and central: wine. It is served generously, almost ceaselessly, a continuous stream throughout the evening. Roman wine, often much stronger than modern varieties, is almost always diluted with water, a practice that allows for extended consumption without immediate incapacitation, though the effect still subtly accumulate throughout the night. Its free flow acts as a crucial social lubricant, easing conversation, lowering inhibitions, and fueling the gradual shift in the evening's mood and decorum. The strong, sweet aroma of fermented grapes hangs heavy in the air, deepening with each pour of your goblet, mingling with the other perfumes and the complex scents of the food. It is more than a beverage. It is a catalyst, an essential ingredient in the social alchemy of a Roman party, preparing the palate and the mind for the evening's deeper pleasures. The act of dining at one of your Roman parties is a thoroughly multisensory experience, deliberately designed to overwhelm and delight. It's not just about satisfying hunger, it's an orchestrated assault on your senses, a feast that engages sight, smell, touch, and taste in equal measure. Visually, the spectacle is stunning. Elaborate platters, food arranged with artistic precision, vibrant colours from fresh fruits and richly prepared meats, all glinting under the flickering torchlight. You see dishes that are almost too beautiful to eat, challenging your perception of what food can be. The visual artistry alone could occupy your attention for long moments, drawing your eye to intricate details and playful arrangements. Then there are the diverse textures that dance across your palate. You might experience the yielding squishiness of a perfectly ripe date, its sweetness a burst against your tongue. The smooth, cool skin of a grape, followed by the soft pop as you bite into it. The crisp crunch of a delicate pastry giving way to a rich, sweet filling. The firm, satisfying resistance of roasted meat, perhaps followed by the tender, almost melt-in-your-mouth texture of a rare delicacy. This variety of textures adds another layer of sophistication to the meal, making each bite a journey of discovery. Your mouth is a landscape of sensations, constantly stimulated, constantly surprised. And the flavours, oh, the flavours are a world unto themselves. They range from the delicate almond-sweet notes of a dessert pastry, to the rich savoury depth of a perfectly seasoned roast, to the pungent, often unexpected, spicy of course it is, kick of many Roman dishes. The Romans were not shy with their spices, often employing combinations that might surprise your modern palate. Garum, a fermented fish sauce, for example, often added an umami depth to dishes, a flavour both intensely savoury and subtly challenging. The complex interplay of sweet, sour, salty, bitter and umami creates a dynamic culinary landscape that constantly excites your taste buds. This entire sensory symphony is heightened, of course, by the party atmosphere itself, the soft music, the murmur of conversation, the ambient warmth and the continuous flow of wine. All these elements conspire to create an immersive dining experience, transforming a basic necessity into an extraordinary indulgence, subtly setting the stage for personal displays. While you as a guest revel in this meticulously crafted world of sensory delights and refined personal presentation, you're also implicitly aware of the rudimentary hygiene practices that likely define the lives of the servants moving around you. They are the unseen hands, the tireless legs constantly in motion, often in close proximity to the food and drink you consume. Basic cleanliness would be a necessity for them, a requirement imposed by their masters to maintain an appearance of order and prevent obvious unpleasantness, but certainly not the luxury afforded to you. Their tunics, though perhaps clean at the start of the evening, would quickly become stained and worn over hours of continuous labour. Their hands, though well kept enough to handle your food, would bear the marks of physical toil, a stark contrast to your own manicured digits. Their presence, after all, is meant to be unobtrusive, almost invisible. They are not to draw attention to themselves, certainly not through any unpleasant odours or untidiness. So while they wouldn't have access to your perfumed oils or elaborate bathing rituals, they would maintain a level of basic personal cleanliness out of necessity, a quiet, almost imperceptible diligence that ensures the smooth functioning of your luxurious environment. Their simple, often unadorned tunics, their neatly tied hair and their quiet movements are all part of this required unobtrusiveness. They are there to serve, not to be seen, or overtly noticed, their very existence a backdrop to your privileged performance. In Roman society, cleanliness often transcended mere practicality, holding a profound symbolic or even ritualistic importance. The daily visit to the public baths, for instance, wasn't just about washing. It was a social ritual, a place for networking exercise and intellectual discourse. However, within the confines of a vibrant, indulgent party, you witness a subtle tension between this ideal of symbolic cleanliness and the inescapable realities of human indulgence. The perfume in the air, the abundance of wine, the rich foods. These elements, while delightful, also contribute to an atmosphere where physical comfort and pleasure can sometimes override strict hygienic practices. You might notice as the evening wears on, and the warmth of the villa increases, a subtle, complex olfactory signature beginning to emerge. The initial freshness of roses and exotic perfumes might gradually be overlaid by the faint, earthy scent of bodies, perhaps a hint of stale wine or the lingering aroma of rich foods. It's nothing overt or offensive, certainly not for those accustomed to a pre-deodorant world, but it adds a layer of subtle realism to the idealized image of Roman decadence. The air becomes thicker, heavier, saturated with the essence of human presence and indulgence. It's a gentle reminder that even in the most refined settings, the human condition with all its biological realities cannot be entirely escaped. This olfactory tapestry becomes part of the immersive experience, adding a touch of authentic realism to the carefully constructed illusion of effortless perfection. This quiet truth about your surroundings directly leads to a deeper appreciation for the unseen mechanisms of leisure. You as a guest at this Roman party are ensconced in an environment of seemingly effortless indulgence. The wine flows, the food appears, the music plays, and every need is anticipated. Yet beneath this veneer of spontaneous pleasure and graceful luxury lies a vast unseen engine of relentless, highly skilled labour. The party's seamless operation, its very existence, depends entirely on the silent, almost invisible work of slaves. They are the true architects of your leisure, performing a ballet of continuous service that goes largely unacknowledged. Imagine the sheer physical exertion slaves are constantly adjusting your low, oddly angled couches, ensuring your reclining posture remains comfortable every 12 seconds, anticipating even the slightest discomfort. They are pouring wine with surgical precision, somehow knowing who prefers dry Falernian, and who prefers a sweeter vintage, moving through the crowded room without a stumble, never spilling a drop. Others fan guests with large leaves, creating a gentle cooling breeze in the often warm atmosphere, their arms tirelessly moving for hours. Still others juggle trays laden with often suggestive food, weaving through the throng, presenting each delicacy with a quiet deference. Their constant rhythmic motion is a silent hum beneath the convivial din, a testament to their training, their discipline, and the sheer volume of their unspoken work. You might barely register their faces, but their actions are the bedrock of your comfort. The host, the master or mistress of this grand affair, also engages in a form of intense labour, though of a vastly different kind. Their role is immensely demanding, extending far beyond mere financial provision. They are the ultimate social engineers of the evening. Long before the first guest arrives, they've meticulously selected the guest list, a complex puzzle of status, alliances, and potential utility. During the party itself, they are constantly at work managing the evening's flow, ensuring that conversations spark, that no one important feels neglected, and that potentially volatile personalities are subtly separated. They guide interactions with an almost imperceptible hand, subtly steering conversations, introducing key individuals and carefully orchestrating the opportunities for political or social manoeuvring. This is a form of labour that requires immense social acumen and almost preternatural ability to read a room, and an unwavering attention to every micro-interaction. Their welcoming smile, you realise, conceals a mind constantly calculating, planning, and reacting, all to serve their own social or political objectives. And you as a guest are not exempt from this culture of performative labour. Attending the party itself is far from a passive act. It requires active engagement, a continuous performance. You must labour at maintaining appearances, always conscious of the impression you're making. You engage in strategic conversations, weaving your own influence into the fabric of the evening, perhaps dropping a carefully phrased compliment to a powerful senator, or a subtly delivered piece of gossip to a key social arbiter. You navigate the complex social cues, deciphering who to speak to, when to laugh, how long to hold a glance. Your work is to perform your status, to flirt subtly, or not so subtly, to make or break reputations with a well-timed remark, all while appearing effortlessly at ease. The mental strain of this constant performance, the tightrope walk of wit and discretion, is considerable, a subtle tension that hums beneath every smile. Indeed, some slaves are explicitly trained for entertainment, transforming their bodies and talents into instruments of pleasure for your amusement. You might witness graceful dancers, their bodies gleaming with oil, moving to the strains of a lyre, or musicians singing odes. Others are dedicated solely to direct service, their lives defined by anticipating your every need. There might even be slaves involved in more interactive hosting, perhaps engaging guests in clever riddles or witty repartee, each with a specific demanding role designed to enhance the guest's experience, often at the cost of their own personal space, comfort, or even dignity. The party in its entirety is a monumental feat of coordination, a testament to both the raw power of the elite and the invisible, indispensable labour that supports their world. This hidden cost of leisure becomes especially evident in the aftermath. As the torches begin to burn down, casting longer, more dramatic shadows across the mosaic floors, the true aftermath of the party begins to unfold, revealing yet another layer of unseen labour. The morning after a grand Roman gathering is a meticulous operation of damage control, both physical and social. While you, as a guest, might wake with a slight headache and the pleasant memory of a scandalous whisper, the servants begin their arduous task of restoring order to the villa. They diligently scrub something unidentifiable off a mosaic, perhaps a spilled goblet of wine, a dropped piece of exotic fruit, or something far less pleasant that speaks to the excesses of the night. The scent of stale wine mingled with the strong acrid aroma of cleaning agents, ash vinegar, and perhaps harsher, unidentifiable Roman chemicals, lingers in the villa, replacing the perfumes and roses of the previous evening. This is the quiet, unsung labour that allows the cycle of indulgence to continue, ensuring the stage is pristine for the next performance. For you and your fellow guests, damage control takes on a different, more subtle form. You're not scrubbing floors, but rather reassembling your dignity, carefully reconstructing the facade of propriety that might have slipped under the influence of too much wine or too much daring conversation. This often involves engaging in cheerful banalities at the morning market or in the forum, exchanging pleasantries that carefully gloss over the night's excesses. Such a delightful evening, wasn't it? You might say to a senator, knowing full well you both witnessed something rather unsenatorial. This collective agreement to selectively forget, or at least to downplay certain events, is a vital social mechanism allowing the elite to maintain their public image despite private indiscretions. The faint aroma of fresh olives a common Roman breakfast might mix with a lingering trace of last night's perfume on your toga, a subtle, almost ironic reminder of the previous evening's revelry. This intricate social dance dictated by unspoken rules and performative displays is not merely for fleeting pleasure. It is carefully designed to serve larger purposes: the accumulation and maintenance of power, the assertion of status, and the exercise of control within a rigid hierarchy. Every glance, every toast, every whispered aside is a maneuver in a continuous game. The parties are not just social events, they are political arenas, economic bargaining tables and reputation battlegrounds, all disguised beneath a shimmering veil of luxury and entertainment. You understand that your attendance, your interactions, your very presence at such a gathering is a statement, a negotiation, a strategic play. You realize that even the seemingly casual conversations at these gatherings often hold profound implications. A seemingly innocent comment about a new tax might actually be a veiled attempt to gauge support for a senatorial motion. A flirtatious exchange could mask a subtle negotiation for a lucrative business deal. The laughter that rings out is rarely truly carefree. It's often knowing a signal of shared secrets or a deliberate performance designed to disarm or impress. The entire environment is a carefully constructed microcosm of Rome itself, where power is rarely overtly displayed but constantly asserted and contested through intricate social rituals. As the physical traces of the party are erased by diligent hands, the social and political ripples continue to spread, pulling you deeper into the nuances of Roman social life. You step into the next phase of your Roman existence, where the social fabric itself becomes a stage intricately woven, with threads of culture, etiquette, and relationships. Here power is not merely exerted through legions or laws, but through the silent language of a wax-sealed scroll, the subtle turn of a head, or the delicate timing of a sip of wine. This is the universe of Roman elite parties, a place where even pleasure is a performance, and every interaction a potential maneuver. Consider for a moment the invitation itself. Receiving a wax-sealed scroll is far more than a simple formality. It's a carefully orchestrated social flex, a deliberate signal from the host. As you break the seal and unroll the crisp parchment, you understand that this isn't an open invitation. It implies specific selection, a tacit acknowledgement of your potential utility, or your existing power within Rome's intricate hierarchy. The message resonates clear as a bell, though entirely unspoken. We've chosen you despite knowing everything about you. It's a testament to your standing, perhaps a subtle warning, or an invitation to a game you're expected to play. The very feel of the scroll in your hand, its formal weight and texture, sets a tone of exclusive privilege, immediately differentiating this event from any mundane gathering. You know that others wished for this scroll, that it is a mark of distinction, and you carry that awareness with you as you prepare for the evening. Once inside the villa, the true game of nonverbal cues begins. You're expected to exude an effortlessly scandalous air, a particular blend of confidence, knowingness, and casual disregard for conventional norms that is utterly unique to this social set. It's a look, a posture, a way of moving that makes newcomers feel instantly out of place, as if they had wandered in from a toga sales conference. An amusingly mundane image for such a sophisticated setting. You can spot the awkwardness immediately, the rustle of too stiff linen, indicating a new, perhaps ill-fitting toga, or the wrong cut of fabric betraying one's social discomfort, a lack of familiarity with the unspoken sartorial codes. Your own garments, in contrast, drape with a practiced ease, their fine wool or silk flowing naturally, a second skin that signals your belonging. Every fold, every pleat, every subtle adjustment is a part of this silent language speaking volumes about your place in the pecking order. Then there is the perilous dance of eye contact, a micro-performance with potentially significant consequences. A glance sustained for too long implies an overt, perhaps inappropriate interest, hinting at a boldness that might be perceived as a challenge or an uncouth proposition. Conversely, a complete lack of eye contact is a blatant insult signalling disinterest or even contempt, a dangerous slight in a society so attuned to social hierarchy. You learn to master the fleeting glance, the subtle acknowledgement, the precisely timed observation. Accidentally locking eyes with someone's spouse, for instance, could ignite a scandal, a spark that could quickly turn into a raging fire of gossip. Yet with a master's touch, strategically locking eyes with both of them one after the other could paradoxically serve as an invitation to the next more intimate gathering, a subtle game of social dare that requires immense finesse and a deep understanding of the individuals involved. This intricate visual communication forms the prelude to the equally complex art of conversation, where wit and discretion become your most potent weapons. As you master the subtle art of eye contact, you delve into the equally intricate performance of conversation, where wit and discretion are your most potent weapons. This is not the place for straightforward pronouncements or earnest discussions about mundane topics. You quickly learn that even seemingly practical subjects like agriculture or the latest commodity prices are often subtly redirected, perhaps with a self-deprecating chuckle, or countered with flamboyant, scandalous anecdotes. Imagine someone attempting to discuss a grain shortage, only for a seasoned socialite to deftly pivot the conversation to 3 acrobats and a scandalous incident at a provincial festival. This redirection is deliberate, a clear signal that the party's true focus lies not in practicalities or the gritty realities of Rome's daily sustenance, but in the art of veiled communication, the display of influence, and the sheer delight of wit. The soft murmur of voices punctuated by knowing laughter fills the air, creating a rich tapestry of sound, where every inflection, every pause, every shared glance holds meaning. You listen intently, not just to the words, but to the nuances, the unspoken implications. A shared laugh might signify an alliance, a subtle dig at a common rival, or simply a mutual appreciation for a well-delivered piece of gossip. The conversation is less about exchanging information and more about demonstrating your social currency, your access to exclusive rumours, your ability to craft a clever barb, your skill in navigating the delicate dance of innuendo without overstepping. Every micro-action you make is under constant subtle observation. Your posture, for instance, as you recline on a deeply suspicious couch. Is it too stiff, signalling discomfort or nervousness, or too relaxed, verging on uncouth? The timing and authenticity of your laughter are equally scrutinized. Is it genuine amusement or a forced performative chuckle designed to flatter? Even the speed of a wine sip carries weight too fast, and you might be perceived as uncultured or overly eager. Too slow, and you could be seen as plotting or perhaps even bored. You become acutely aware that you are perpetually on stage, your every movement a potential clue to your inner thoughts or social standing. The constant subtle pressure to appear neutral and unmemorable, yet somehow captivating, is a mental tightrope walk demanding an astonishing level of self-control and social awareness. This tightrope walk extends profoundly to the realm of humour and innuendo, where saying everything without saying anything becomes a high art form. Direct communication, particularly regarding sensitive topics like flirtation, negotiation, or veiled threats, is often considered crude, lacking the necessary finesse. Instead, the elite rely heavily on layered innuendo, double meanings, and suggestive metaphors. Imagine, for instance, someone offering you a simple fig, but the way the words are delivered, the subtle arch of an eyebrow, the brief lingering glance, carries far more weight than a mere offer of fruit. It might be a sexual proposition, a hint at a clandestine meeting, or even a coded message about a business deal. This delicate, dangerous social dance creates an atmosphere where the unspoken hangs heavy in the air, a potent mixture of thrill and anxiety. You learn to interpret the subtle shifts in tone, the fleeting expressions, the almost imperceptible gestures that convey volumes of information. Flirtation becomes a game of subtle signals, a challenge to see who can be most suggestive without being explicit. Negotiations unfold through allegories and shared witticisms, testing your intellect and your ability to read between the lines. The constant need to decode these hidden messages to infer meaning from nuance transforms every social interaction into a complex puzzle. It's a game played with high stakes, where a misinterpretation could lead to social embarrassment, a lost opportunity, or even a damaging rumour, truly preparing you for the deeper cultural performances of the Roman evening. As the evening matures, you find yourself immersed in a series of cultural disciplines that are in essence elaborate performances, tests of character and social acumen disguised as pleasure. The very act of wine consumption, a seemingly simple refreshment, becomes a ritualized, highly scrutinized display. Roman wine, remember, is far stronger than any modern vintage you're familiar with, and almost always diluted with water, a practice that allows for extended enjoyment without immediately losing one's composure. But each refilled cup brought to you by a silent servant demands more than just a polite sip. It requires a toast, a witty retort, perhaps a philosophical quote, all delivered with an air of cultivated ease. As you raise your goblet, you quickly subtly glance around, gauging the impression your words make on others. A fleeting nod from a senator, a knowing smile from a poet, a dismissive glance from a rival. The constant gentle clinking of goblets, a continuous soundtrack to the evening, and the rich, fruity aroma of the wine deepening with each pour are constant companions stimulating both your senses and your ever-present ambition. Then there is the food presented not just as sustenance but as erotic and symbolic theatre. This is where the boundaries of culinary art are pushed, designed to provoke, to titillate, and to communicate on multiple levels. Platters are laden with figs shaped like body parts, their natural curves enhanced to suggest something far more than simple fruit. Oysters are arranged in suggestive spirals, their glistening forms hinting at hidden depths and pleasures. Even the humble bread loaves are sculpted into forms that clearly didn't rise by accident, perhaps resembling phallic symbols or other anatomical suggestions prompting a subtle smirk or a knowing glance. Eating becomes an act of interpretation, a game of decoding the unspoken messages embedded within each dish. Even seemingly innocent dates might hold squishy tart and suspiciously symbolic fillings, transforming a simple bite into a moment of playful innuendo. The complex, often spicy aromas of the food mingling with the heavy perfume of the flowers scattered throughout the villa create a heady, almost intoxicating sensory experience, preparing the atmosphere for even bolder displays. The spectacle of entertainment serves as a carefully timed catalyst for decadence. This isn't merely background distraction, it's an intentional progression designed to dismantle formality and signal a shift in the evening's permissible boundaries. Dancers glide into view wearing Lua mong manjen musgan hu vo hin fu mot luong dao duong the Juje koi jong mot ham joy truremen ho. Their movements both graceful and explicitly suggestive, their bodies gleaming under the torchlight. Lute players sing odes where love rhymes inappropriately with dove. Their voices smooth and seductive, the lyrics often laden with double meanings. Jugglers perform astonishing feats, perhaps culminating in something illegal in Athens, a wink and a nod to the more outrageous and transgressive acts that might be tolerated or even encouraged as the night deepens. The initial soft strains of the lyre, which had provided a calming backdrop, gradually transform into a more insistent, suggestive tempo, beckoning the guest towards a deeper, more uninhibited level of indulgence. As the entertainment progresses and the atmosphere grows more relaxed, you observe the subtle ritual of the gradual undressing. A cascade from polite decadence into deeper indulgence. This is not an abrupt disrobing, but a slow, almost imperceptible loosening of togas and garments. A servant might unobtrusively loosen a binding, or a guest might casually adjust a drape of fabric. This requires precise timing. Too fast signals an uncultured overeagerness, an inability to control one's desires. Too slow, and you might appear repressed or prudish, out of step with the gathering's evolving mood. The sweet spot is an accidentally seductive adjustment of a sandal, or a seemingly casual rearrangement of a fold of cloth that hints at a nascent loosening of inhibitions without being overtly vulgar. The soft, almost imperceptible rustle of heavy fabrics, a subtle sound amidst the growing conviviality, hints at rising body temperatures and a corresponding relaxation of social norms. This carefully choreographed shedding of formality leads you into the realm of the unspoken, where flirtation becomes an Olympic event in subtlety. With the garments subtly loosened and the atmosphere thick with expectation, you witness and indeed participate in flirtation as an Olympic event in subtlety. Roman flirtation, particularly within these elite circles, is an intricate, highly indirect art form. It's not about bold pronouncements or overt advances. Such behaviour would be considered crude, uncivilized. Instead, it manifests through a delicate ballet of nuanced glances, a fleeting look held just a fraction of a second too long, a quick sweep of the eyes across a body, a shared gaze across the room that communicates volumes. You might catch a veiled comment spoken seemingly to no one in particular, yet clearly directed at someone specific, its double meaning sparkling just beneath the surface. Even the deliberate way one peels a fig, its soft flesh yielding to the fingers, can become a suggestive act, a small intimate performance designed to convey a hidden desire. The air in the villa thickens with these unspoken desires and hinted possibilities. It's a constant undercurrent of erotic tension and social calculation, a game played with smiles and silence, where the pursuit of pleasure is intertwined with the pursuit of influence. Every gesture, every word, every shared laugh can be a potential opening, a subtle invitation to a more intimate connection. You learn to read these signals, to send your own to engage in this delicate, dangerous dance, where a slight misstep can lead to embarrassment, or a perfectly executed move can open doors to new alliances, both social and personal. This intricate dance is often justified by a remarkably flexible Roman morality. Tuan hu viek ban kogang thukhien mot jong tak yoga fuk tap mavan mang dep. The elite are adept at invoking the gods, particularly Bacchus, the god of wine and revelry, and Venus, the goddess of love and beauty, to provide a divine loophole for their indulgences. Outrageous behaviour, which might otherwise be condemned, can be philosophically rationalised as bringing participants closer to the divine. Bacchus guides our hands tonight. Someone might declare, with a mischievous glint in their eye, excusing a particularly bold flirtation or an excessive act of consumption. This intricate dance between behaviour and belief highlights a society at ease with its contradictions, a culture that can simultaneously uphold strict public virtues and indulge in lavish private vices, all under the convenient guise of divine inspiration. You understand that this isn't about genuine piety, not in the strictly moralistic sense. It's a convenient framework, a cultural license that permits a controlled release of inhibitions. This divine justification for hedonism is deeply ingrained, allowing the most lavish and overtly sensual behaviours at these gatherings to unfold with a tacit sense of approval. The deep-seated belief that if a god did it first, it's probably fine, provides a theological carte blanche. The myths and legends of the gods, their infidelities, their passions, their grand feasts, are constantly referenced not just as stories, but as archetypes for human behaviour. If Jupiter himself engaged in numerous affairs, why should a mere mortal of high standing be constrained by lesser morals during a night of revelry? This cultural acceptance allows the elite to indulge in what would appear as debauchery to outsiders, while maintaining an internal sense of divine sanction, adding another layer of complexity to their public and private personas. This phenomenon extends to the way guests often consciously or unconsciously mirror mythological figures. You might hear boasts of being a Mars in bed, implying virility and dominance, or a playful declaration of being Minerva by day, Venus by night, suggesting intellect and wisdom in public combined with uninhibited passion in private. This constant interplay of divine archetypes blurs the lines between mere flirtation and a performative, almost theological engagement with society. The air might even carry the faint sweet scent of incense, perhaps burned in a small brazier in a quiet corner, subtly reminding participants of this divine connection and reinforcing the idea that their actions, however earthly, are somehow echoing the grand narratives of their gods. This blurring of lines, this divine endorsement of human desire, offers a profound insight into the Roman psyche, shaping even their perception of hypocrisy. This blurring of lines between the divine and the human, the sacred and the profane, extends to a remarkable Roman acceptance of hypocrisy. You might observe a Stoic philosopher known for their public espousal of virtue and self-control, reclining at a party, indulging in a rather unstoic amount of wine and participating in flirtatious banter. This isn't necessarily seen as a moral failing, but often framed as an inherent dual nature of man. It's an intellectualization that allows the elite to reconcile their public pursuit of pleasure with their private espousal of virtue, or vice versa. The public persona, meticulously crafted for the forum or the senate, can coexist often quite comfortably with a more uninhibited private self revealed behind the perfumed curtains of a villa party. This intellectual flexibility provides a convenient justification for behaviour that might otherwise attract criticism, allowing the social wheels to turn without too much friction. Yet despite this broad allowance for indulgence and the convenient divine loopholes, a subtle undercurrent of superstition often lingers, a quiet dread of doing it badly. While the parties celebrate freedom and excess, an unspoken fear often gnaws at the edges of the revelry. The local shrug, "only if you do it badly," hints at a pervasive belief that while indulgence is permissible, improper indulgence, that which lacks grace, crosses too many lines, or offends the wrong people, could still invite ill fortune or social ruin, even if not direct divine wrath. It's a fine line. You walk a delicate balance between enjoying the freedom and overstepping an invisible boundary. You learn that too much visible drunkenness, too crude a flirtation, or too public a display of impropriety might not draw the immediate ire of Bacchus, but it could certainly attract the scorn of your peers, and that in Rome can be a far more potent and immediate threat. Though not explicitly performed at parties in the same way as sacrifices or auguries in public life, the broader Roman reliance on augury and omens permeates your mindset even amidst revelry. A Roman, even one fully immersed in the pleasures of a banquet, would be subtly attuned to any unusual occurrences. A bird flying through an open archway, an unexpected crack in a mosaic, a servant stumbling and spilling wine. These aren't just accidents. To a Roman mind, they are potential signs, omens from the gods that might hint at good or bad fortune. You might discreetly note such an event, perhaps wondering what it portends for your upcoming senatorial vote or for a nascent flirtation. This adds a layer of subtle tension to the evening's unfolding, a quiet awareness that the universe is constantly communicating, and that even in moments of profound human pleasure, the divine presence and its potential pronouncements are never truly absent. Indeed, these gatherings in their very excess often echo ancient Bacchic or Saturnalian rituals, providing a deep cultural and spiritual context that elevates mere pleasure to a form of communal release or even veneration. The rhythmic music perhaps growing louder and more insistent as the night progresses, the shared wine consumed from overflowing goblets, and the communal laughter that sweeps through the villa, All these elements can feel almost sacred in their intensity. It's a powerful emotional release, a temporary overturning of norms, a communal affirmation of life and its pleasures, much like the ancient festivals, where social roles were briefly reversed and inhibitions shed. You participate in this not just for your own enjoyment, but as a reaffirmation of shared cultural values, a collective embrace of a worldview that finds meaning in both structure and revelry. This deep spiritual framework, even when implicitly applied, provides a rich tapestry against which the more personal dramas of love, marriage and family life unfold, often with surprising pragmatism. Against this vibrant tapestry of cultural performance, flexible morality and subtle superstition, the more intimate dramas of love, marriage and family life play out often in ways that would seem strikingly pragmatic and even cold to a modern observer. Within the Roman elite, marriage is primarily understood as a pragmatic alliance, a powerful tool for political, social and economic consolidation, rather than a union based on romantic love. Your own marriage, you realise, was likely arranged years ago, a careful negotiation between families to secure advantageous connections, consolidate land holdings or enhance political influence. The emotional bond, if it developed at all, was a bonus, not a prerequisite. This understanding profoundly shapes the nature of relationships witnessed at these parties. The casual sexual liaisons, the playful flirtations, the knowing glances exchanged. These often occur parallel to and without necessarily jeopardizing these formalized unions. Your spouse might be in the same room, perhaps engaging in their own subtle flirtations or political discussions, and this is generally accepted as long as discretion is maintained and public scandal avoided. It's a system where fidelity, particularly for men, is viewed differently than for women, and where the sanctity of marriage is more about the integrity of the alliance than the exclusivity of emotional or physical intimacy. The institution of marriage as a public contract, a foundation of family power and its utility, supersedes purely personal sentiments. Despite the temporary sense of freedom and influence that elite women might experience at these parties, their overall constrained agency in matters of love, marriage, and family remains a stark reality. While an elite woman at such a gathering can certainly exert significant charm and indirect influence, perhaps asking a general with a delicate smile to consider moving legions in a certain direction, or subtly promoting a relative's career, her ultimate agency is still largely dictated by male authority and societal expectations. Her marriage was chosen for her, her role as a wife is defined by her husband's status, and her primary duty is to bear legitimate children to continue the family line. The party therefore offers a tantalizing, fleeting veil of liberation, a space where she can flex her intellectual and social muscles, but the underlying structures of power remain firmly in place. Her wit and charm are tools within a system, not a means to dismantle it. Genuine romantic love, as you might understand it, is largely viewed as a literary construct, a subject best confined to poetry, drama, and eloquent odes, rather than a practical basis for marriage or everyday social interaction. The love expressed in the passionate verses recited by a poet, or the highly stylized love implied in flirtatious party poetry, is more performative than heartfelt. It's often tinged with irony or playful subversion, suggesting a yearning for something beyond the transactional, a longing for an ideal that rarely materializes in the harsh realities of elite unions. You might listen to a beautiful ode about tragic lovers and appreciate its artistry, but you wouldn't seriously consider it a template for your own marriage. This dichotomy highlights a profound separation between the idealized emotions of art and the pragmatic realities of Roman life, underscoring the functional nature of marital bonds. However, even amidst this flexible morality and pragmatic approach to relationships, concerns over reputation and adultery remain a powerful, ever-present force. While discretion is key and minor dalliances are often overlooked, Overt transgression like blatant adultery could still lead to severe social and even legal consequences, particularly for women. A husband might have multiple mistresses or engage in affairs with courtesans without significant social censure. But for his wife, an open affair could result in divorce, loss of dowry, public shaming, or even harsher penalties depending on the severity and public nature of the scandal. The pressure to maintain at least a facade of propriety, even amidst the most debauched moments of a party, is constant, adding a layer of subtle anxiety beneath the smiles and laughter, revealing the true weight of familial expectations. Beyond the formal institution of marriage, Roman society, you recognize, accommodates a diverse array of relationships, including concubinage, which could offer varying levels of social acceptance and stability. A concubine, often a freed woman or a woman of lower status, might live with a man, bear his children, though these children would not have the same legal standing as those from a formal marriage, and even manage his household. While not a wife, her position could be recognized and often offered a degree of security and even affection that might be absent in a purely political marriage. These parties, with their fluid social environment and loosening of inhibitions, provided fertile ground for initiating or advancing such relationships, often driven by status, transactional benefit, or genuine albeit less formal affection. A fleeting glance, a shared laugh over a scandalous joke, a prolonged conversation in a quiet alcove, these could all be the genesis of a connection that extends beyond the single, evening-forming bonds that, while not publicly celebrated, were nevertheless integral to the fabric of Roman social life. The seemingly free choices at these gatherings, however, are often constrained by the invisible but powerful hand of parental influence. Even adult children of the elite are frequently subject to intense familial pressure regarding their romantic entanglements. A casual flirtation that could blossom into something more serious might be swiftly discouraged if it doesn't align with the family's strategic goals. An alliance with the wrong family could significantly impact the family's standing, jeopardizing political ambitions, economic interests, or social prestige. You understand that your personal desires, while acknowledged, often take a back seat to the larger collective honor and future of your genes. Your parents or the elder members of your family are silent observers, their unspoken expectations guiding your choices even in the most private moments of dalliance. This ever-present familial pressure adds a layer of quiet tension to every interaction, ensuring that even personal affections are filtered through the lens of clan identity. This brings us to the profound and inescapable weight of clan identity, your genes. Roman society, you keenly feel, profoundly values the collective clan over individual desires. Your personal actions at parties, no matter how private they might seem, behind flickering torches and drawn curtains, are understood to reflect upon the entire family lineage. This isn't just about your reputation. It's about the honor of your ancestors, the standing of your living relatives, and the future prospect of your descendants. This profound collective responsibility enforces a powerful, pervasive social conformity, a constant awareness that you are a representative of something much larger than yourself. Every word, every gesture, every decision carries the weight of centuries of family history. Your family name is paramount, a banner carrying centuries of reputation and prestige. It is not just a label, it is your primary source of identity, a living narrative of triumphs, alliances, and traditions. Any scandal or impropriety by an individual at a party, a drunken outburst, an indiscreet affair, a public slight to another powerful family, could swiftly and deeply tarnish this ancestral standing. This creates an acute, almost constant awareness of one's public presentation, a vigilance that never truly rests even in moments of intended relaxation. You're a custodian of your family's honor, and the thought of bringing shame upon it is a potent deterrent, a fear that gnaws at the edges of even the most carefree moments. The consequences of party behaviour you understand extend far beyond your own immediate experience. A lapse in judgment could potentially affect the marriage prospects of your siblings, making them less desirable in the intricate network of elite alliances. It could derail the political careers of your relatives, denying them crucial support or opening them to attack from rivals. Most profoundly, it could impact the social standing of your entire family for generations, leaving a permanent stain on their collective honour. This silent pressure is immense, a heavy burden to bear, making every interaction a calculated risk, every decision weighed against the immeasurable value of your family's name. This profound sense of collective responsibility is the invisible force that truly binds you to the rigid structure of Roman society, shaping your every move long after the party has faded into memory, and leading directly to the unforgiving arena of reputation. The morning after a Roman party is not merely about physical tidying, it marks the opening of the gladiator arena of reputation management. You might be nursing a slight headache, but a far more potent and pervasive force is already at work: gossip. Whispered conversations transform into a powerful, almost terrifying mechanism of social judgment and control. The stories of who did what, who spoke to whom, who was seen leaving with a woman described only as the panther. These tales spread like wildfire through the city, meticulously catalogued, judged, and possibly even reenacted in hushed tones over morning olives and wine. This chilling effect of public opinion permeates the villa's lingering echoes, transforming perceived indiscretions into concrete social consequences. The risk of being permanently labelled that guest forever remembered in hushed tones and footnotes is a powerful deterrent to social death that can haunt you for years, if not decades. You've heard the stories, witnessed the quiet sidelining of individuals whose reputations were irrevocably tarnished by one too many missteps at a social gathering. This subtle, constant fear gnaws beneath the surface of apparent carefree indulgence, forcing you to navigate the party's excesses with extreme caution and strategic calculation. Every smile you give, every joke you tell, every sip of wine you take is weighed against the potential cost to your standing. The freedom of the party, you realise, is a carefully constructed illusion, always shadowed by the ever-present threat of social ruin. Even seemingly minor social errors can unravel an entire life of carefully constructed privilege. A misplaced compliment, perhaps delivered with slightly too much enthusiasm to the wrong person, or an unfortunate giggle at an inappropriate moment could be enough to trigger a cascade of negative judgments. These small missteps, amplified by the relentless engine of gossip, can lead to a loss of invitations, a withdrawal of patronage, or even outright social ostracism. They demonstrate the terrifying fragility of reputation and the long shadow of clan judgment that hangs over every elite Roman. You learn quickly that social capital built over a lifetime can be shattered in a single, ill-considered moment, making the pursuit of pleasure a perilous undertaking indeed. As you navigate this treacherous social landscape, you understand that the host, while seemingly in absolute control of their villa and its events, is still subject to a larger, unyielding hierarchy. Their welcoming smile as they greet each guest hints at this delicate balance. "Welcome," they might say. "Please don't get anything sticky on the mosaic," showcasing both hospitality and a subtle assertion of control over their domain, and by extension their reputation. The host is not merely an entertainer. They're a manager of impressions, a conductor of social dynamics constantly aware of their own standing within the broader Roman social structure. Their authority, while significant within their own walls, is always contextualized by the power of their guests and the watchful eyes of their peers. Ultimately, these intricate power dynamics and social controls are not just abstract concepts. They are the living, breathing reality of Roman elite society. They are in large part enabled by the broader realities of Roman governance, where the rigid hierarchy and foundational economy dictate the very structure upon which such decadent displays can be built. This is the world you inhabit, a world where every action, no matter how trivial it seems, reverberates with implications for power, status, and control, a constant unspoken reminder of the delicate balance that defines your existence. Now let's consider how this unyielding power hierarchy, manifest even in the minutiae of party planning, truly operates in practice within the microcosm of your villa. Your villa during a party transforms into a precise microcosm of Rome itself, an arena where the unyielding power hierarchy is not just observed, but actively performed and reinforced. The host, for all their graciousness and apparent control, walks a precarious tightrope. Their welcoming smile as they greet each guest carries a dual message. Welcome. Please don't get anything sticky on the mosaic. It's a subtle assertion of ownership and control over their meticulously maintained domain, but also a quiet acknowledgement that even they as hosts are ultimately subject to the greater currents of Roman power and reputation. They are simultaneously the orchestrators of the evening and players in a larger game, keenly aware that any misstep on their part could reflect poorly on their own standing within the unyielding social strata. The guest list itself is the first most powerful manifestation of this hierarchy. Parties are strictly invite-only, where social rank mattered more than your personality. You understand this instinctively. Guests are meticulously chosen not for genuine friendship, but based on their usefulness. Someone could use you. Perhaps a senator whose vote is needed, a general whose influence is sought, or a wealthy merchant whose financial backing is desired. Or they are chosen for their reliability not to scream when things got theatrical. Individuals who understand the unspoken rules, who won't cause a scene, who can be trusted to participate in the polite fictions of the evening. Your presence, therefore, is a testament to your perceived value, a clear signal of your place within this intricate web of power and influence. It's an exclusive club, and the invitation is your golden ticket. Once inside, the seating arrangements become an exact science, a subtle cartography of power. Your proximity to the wine, for instance, often implies you are either the entertainment or the liability. If you're a jester or a particularly amusing but inconsequential poet, you might find yourself closer to the source of revelry, expected to fuel the merriment. If you're seen as a potential problem, someone who might become too boisterous, you might also be placed strategically, perhaps to be easily observed or discreetly managed. Conversely, being placed near the host means you are being watched, either because you are important, a subject of interest for alliance or negotiation, or because you are under scrutiny for some past indiscretion. This subtle arrangement of bodies underscores the constant surveillance and judgment inherent in the Roman social structure. Every cushion, every space at the triclinium table is imbued with social meaning, communicating unspoken truths about your standing and value. Within this meticulously arranged space, the slaves, though largely ignored, function as crucial, albeit silent, information brokers. They are walking silent scrolls of blackmail potential, moving through the villa unseen and unheard, yet observing everything. They see who's sleeping with whom, who's trying to poison whom, whose gaze lingers a little too long, whose whispered conversation holds an illicit secret. They are privy to the most intimate and dangerous secrets of the elite, possessing a hidden power through their knowledge, yet remaining voiceless, their observations a silent hum beneath the convivial din. Their impassive faces conceal a vast repository of information that, if ever revealed, could shatter reputations and topple careers. You know this, of course, and while you might treat your slaves with a paternalistic benevolence, there is always an unspoken understanding of the secrets they hold, a subtle tension that undercuts the casualness of your interactions. As the overt revelry winds down and the night deepens, a quieter, more dangerous game begins. This is the realm of pillow talk diplomacy, unfolding behind the fluttering curtains of private chambers and secluded alcoves. Secrets are whispered in hushed tones, deals are struck with a hand clasp or a subtle nod, and political favours are secured. Perhaps the promise of villa renovations for a struggling relative, or the strategic legion transfers that could secure a frontier or undermine a rival. These intimate perfume spaces become the true loci of power, demonstrating where much of Rome's real governance often occurs far outside the official channels of the Senate or the Forum. It's governance in a bathrobe, stripped of its formal pomp, but not its potency, where personal influence and implied blackmail are far more effective than public oratory, shaping the very legal and enforcement mechanisms of society. The true legal and enforcement mechanisms at play within these Roman elite gatherings operate not through formal statutes or courts, but through a complex, unwritten code of reputation. This is an informal justice system, where social standing and future prospects are constantly subtly judged. You quickly learn that suspicion was often enough for a reputation to be tarnished even without formal charges or concrete proof. A whispered rumour, a knowing glance, a subtle shift in demeanour from influential peers. These can be far more damaging than any official indictment. This creates a palpable social anxiety, a constant vigilance that colours every interaction, every word and every gesture you make. You are always aware that you are being assessed, your character weighed, and your future potentially determined by the fleeting perceptions of others. This informal legal system finds its most powerful tool in gossip, which, as discussed earlier, transforms the morning after into the gladiator arena of reputation management. Whispered conversations act as potent forces of social control, spreading stories of misbehaviour with astonishing speed. Senator Publius left with a woman described only as the Panther. Such an anecdote, whether entirely true or merely exaggerated, rapidly circulates, shaping public perception and crucially dictating future invitations. Those who once sought the company of Senator Publius might now subtly avoid him, their social calendars suddenly full. The hushed conspiratorial tones of these post-party discussions are a constant quiet threat, a reminder that your every action, however private it felt at the time, is subject to merciless public dissection. Indeed, every word, gesture and choice made at a party is meticulously catalogued, judged, and possibly reenacted by others in the days that follow. This pervasive scrutiny means you are constantly aware that your actions have lasting implications, often influencing your political and social standing for years to come. A perfectly delivered compliment to a rising power might secure a crucial alliance. A careless slight to an established figure could cripple your career. The stakes are incredibly high, and the memory of the Roman elite, particularly when it comes to social faux pas, is long and unforgiving. You live in a state of perpetual performance, your public self, a carefully constructed edifice constantly under repair from the subtle erosions of rumour and judgment. Returning to the theme of pillow talk diplomacy, it's here behind the perfume curtains of private chambers that true outcomes were negotiated. Deals were struck, alliances formed, and favours secured through intimate, often suggestive conversations bypassing the formal, often cumbersome legal processes of the state. Imagine a powerful senator subtly hinting at a lucrative public contract for a friend or a wealthy patron, promising to withdraw support from a rival's political campaign, all exchanged in hushed tones over a final cup of wine. These interactions demonstrate how personal influence, implied blackmail, and the leverage of shared secrets often circumvented formal legal processes, making this a form of governance in a bathrobe. Less formal, but no less potent. The real power plays, you realise, happen in the shadows, not always in the spotlight of the forum. While not a formal Roman institution like the Gonin Gumi, a Japanese system of collective responsibility, there is an implicit collective responsibility at play within elite Roman circles for maintaining a facade of propriety. The indiscretion of one could subtly affect the standing of others in their immediate social circle. If you associate too closely with someone whose reputation is in tatters, a faint stain might spread to you. This implicit mutual surveillance ensured a form of strategic complicity, where individuals had a vested interest in subtly reining in the most outrageous behaviours of their friends, or at least in ensuring such behaviours remained discreet. This unspoken code and its potent enforcement mechanisms cast a long shadow over your existence, forever reminding you that your life is bound by the concept of honour and its precarious nature. The shadow cast by the unwritten laws of reputation and social control is immense, leading to a profound understanding that while physical death might not be a direct consequence of a party, social death certainly is. The narrative implicitly suggests that being forever remembered in hushed tones and footnotes is a fate almost as feared as physical demise. To lose one's reputation in Roman society is to lose everything: access to power, influence, lucrative opportunities, and even respectful social interaction. It's a consequence that could effectively end one's public life and prospects, reducing a once respected figure to a mere footnote whispered about, with a mix of pity and scorn. You understand that this social death is a slow, agonizing process, a gradual erosion of your standing until you become a non-person within your own elite circle. The very air you breathe would become heavy with unspoken judgment, making public life unbearable. For a Roman elite facing irretrievable scandal, the intense pressure of reputation could lead to a metaphorical withdrawal from public life. This wasn't always a physical retreat to a distant villa, though that certainly happened. More often it was a choice to embrace a form of social death, to become a recluse within your own city, carefully avoiding public spaces and high-stakes social events. This silent retreat was a kind of self-erasure, a desperate attempt to preserve a shred of familial honour by removing oneself from the public eye, rather than enduring continuous public shaming. You might hear whispers of a prominent figure who simply ceased to appear at the usual gatherings, their name quickly fading from public discourse, replaced by a polite, convenient silence. It was a tragic end, for many a testament to the unforgiving nature of Roman social judgment. The very concept of honour, and the deep Roman fear of shame infamia, served as a powerful tool of societal coercion. You are subtly coerced into certain behaviours or agreements, not just by explicit threats, but by the implicit understanding that to refuse or to behave inappropriately would be to risk your honour and by extension your family's. This pressure is constant, particularly under the watchful eyes of your peers at a party. A rival might challenge you with a veiled insult, or a powerful figure might subtly demand a political favour. Your response is measured, calculated, weighing the risk of acquiescence against the risk of dishonour. The cold calculation behind every interaction, weighing risk against reward, is palpable, transforming pleasantries into negotiations and compliments into veiled demands. This constant pressure to uphold honour even in moments of leisure is a defining characteristic of your Roman elite existence. The article, by focusing solely on the internal dynamics of an elite party, starkly highlights the absence of focus on the lives of commoners. You exist in an insulated world, a shimmering bubble of privilege, where the economic suffering, potential unrest, or daily struggles of the vast majority of Rome's populace are entirely out of view. While you might occasionally hear reports of urban riots or a vague mention of agricultural unrest, these are distant echoes, abstract problems to be managed by the state, not personal realities that touch your day-to-day life. The world inside the villa is one of abundant food, endless wine, and elaborate entertainment, a stark contrast to the grueling labour and meagre existence that defines the lives of most Romans. This lavish excess implicitly stands in sharp contrast to the daily struggles and potential discontent that would have been a pervasive reality for the Roman populace. Your concerns might be about reputation, political alliances, or the quality of the next vintage while outside your gates. Families struggle with hunger disease and the constant threat of eviction. The sheer opulence of your gatherings, therefore, is not just a display of wealth. It's an unconscious, almost arrogant demonstration of your detachment from the harsh realities faced by the very people whose labour makes your lifestyle possible. This juxtaposition is striking, creating a powerful unspoken tension between the two Romes, the visible Rome of grandeur and the invisible Rome of struggle. You reside firmly within this insulated world, where the lavish excess you witness and partake in stands in stark contrast to the daily struggles and potential discontent that would have been a pervasive reality for the vast majority of the Roman populace. The common people toiling in the fields, crowding the urban tenements, or serving in various capacities experience a Rome that is entirely separate from your decadent gatherings. While your concern might be a misplaced compliment or a subtle political maneuver, their realities are shaped by the price of grain, the threat of disease and overcrowded quarters, the relentless grind of physical labour, and the constant spectre of debt and hunger. This profound disparity in existence creates a quiet, often invisible chasm between your world and theirs. The content of your parties explicitly centres on the Roman elite. There are no discussions of the economic suffering of the plebeians, no heartfelt laments about the lives of common soldiers, and certainly no talk of potential uprisings or peasant rebellions. Such topics would be considered gauche, a jarring intrusion into the carefully cultivated atmosphere of wit, influence and pleasure. It would be an acknowledgement of a reality that the elite prefer to keep at arm's length, intellectualizing poverty or unrest as problems for the state to manage rather than human tragedies unfolding just beyond their villa walls. This deliberate absence from elite focus starkly highlights the insulated world you inhabit, a bubble sustained by wealth and detachment. The delicate perfume of roses and roasted meats would be shattered by the raw stench of genuine desperation, and that simply wouldn't do for an evening designed for calculated indulgence. This insulation allows you and your peers to perpetuate the illusion of order and control, even as the seeds of discontent might be quietly germinating in the lower strata of society. The elaborate entertainments, the fine wines, the casual, almost indifferent display of wealth. These are all part of a larger unspoken agreement to ignore the grimmer realities of Roman life. It's a deliberate turning away, a collective act of myopia that maintains the comfortable narrative of your own superiority and the natural order of things. You might on occasion hear a brief dismissive mention of a minor disturbance in a distant province, quickly followed by a change of subject to a more diverting piece of gossip. The very structure of the party and its exclusivity and its focus reinforces this profound separation, ensuring that the experiences of the elite remain distinct and unblemished by the harsher truths of the empire. Now shifting from the realities of the common Roman, you might consider if Roman society offered a parallel to the concept of a ronin, the masterless warrior found in Japanese feudal history. The answer you quickly surmise is no. The article does not present a figure analogous to the Japanese ronin. While Roman society certainly had its own forms of social mobility and downfall, the specific concept of a masterless warrior, bound by honour but unmoored from direct service, is not pertinent to this historical context. The Roman military structure, the system of patronage, and the emphasis on clan identity created different paths for those who lost their standing or connection. However, Roman society did indeed have mechanisms for individuals to be, in a sense, discarded or lose their place. A senator might be prescribed his property confiscated and his name erased from public records, effectively making him a non-person. An ambitious general might fall out of favour with the emperor, leading to exile, his influence vanishing overnight. A family as discussed could be ruined by scandal, their social standing irrevocably tarnished, leading to a quiet, forced withdrawal from public life. While not masterless warriors, these individuals were certainly discarded from their societal roles, their former power and influence stripped away often with devastating consequences. They might not wander the countryside seeking new lords, but their lives, like those of the Ronin, would be irrevocably altered, marked by a profound loss of purpose and standing. These intricate power dynamics and social controls, then whether enforcing elite segregation or enacting profound downfall, were entirely enabled by the broader realities of Roman society. Its rigid hierarchy and foundational economy dictated the very structure upon which such decadent displays, and indeed the entire civilization, could be built. You've spent this evening immersed in the intricate world of the Roman elite party, a spectacle of power and pleasure. Now let's reflect on how these events were fundamentally shaped by the overarching structure of Roman society, revisiting the inescapable truths that formed its very foundation. You understand that the opulent, complex and politically charged gatherings came to life against a backdrop of rigid social classes, vast economic disparities, and even the looming indifferent presence of nature's forces. Every clink of a goblet, every scandalous whisper, every carefully orchestrated gesture was made possible by and gained its profound meaning from this bedrock of Roman existence. The party, you now realize, was never just a party. It was a performance, a negotiation, and a reaffirmation of power, all meticulously woven into the fabric of a society defined by its strictures as much as its indulgences. Let's gently re-enter that fundamental concept of the inescapable social hierarchy, the bedrock of Roman society. You live this truth every day in every interaction. Roman society was not merely stratified. It was built upon an almost unyielding hierarchy, a structure so deeply ingrained that it felt as natural as the flow of the Tiber. Patricians, equestrians, plebeians, freedmen and slaves. These were not just labels. They were immutable categories that determined one's destiny from birth. The guests you mingled with, senators with their gravitas, poets with their silver tongues, generals with their stern authority, priestesses with their ethereal presence, represent the diverse but exclusive upper echelons. They are the visible tip of a vast iceberg reflecting the stratified composition of this colossal empire. You are part of this tip, your presence a testament to your lineage and fortune. Your place within this intricate social structure, you know, was largely determined by birth, a lottery of lineage that dictated almost everything. It influenced your political opportunities, granting you access to senatorial debates or the possibility of holding high office. It shaped your access to education, ensuring you received the finest tutors and could master rhetoric and philosophy. It determined your social standing, dictating who you could marry, who you could patronize, and who would in turn patronize you. And of course, it profoundly influenced the types of invitations one might receive, or indeed the roles one would play within society. You are not just a person. You are a product of your birthright, a living testament to your family's history, with all the privileges and responsibilities that entails. There is a weight to this, a sense of destiny, that shapes your very perception of yourself and your world. The ubiquitous presence of slaves, often presented as subtle, unseen figures, forms not just a convenient service class but a fundamental and indispensable layer of Roman society. You see them everywhere, their quiet movements a constant backdrop to your opulent life. They are the human infrastructure, their tireless labour enabling the leisure and luxury of the elite. Without them, the grand parties you attend, the elaborate meals you consume, the very functioning of your vast villas would grind to a halt. They are the unnoticed hands that meticulously clean your mosaics, the strong backs that carry your litters, the skilled cooks who prepare your feasts. Their existence is a constant, though often unacknowledged reminder of the deep economic and social disparities that underpin your privileged life. They are the foundation upon which your world is built, an integral part of the hierarchical structure. Their silence, a testament to their subjugated status. At the very top of this pyramid of power you find the emperor. While his auctoritas might fluctuate depending on his personality and the loyalty of the legions, his symbolic authority still held significant weight. He was the ultimate arbiter, the supreme commander, and his presence, even if distant, permeated the consciousness of the elite. Below him, the hierarchy cascaded down through various political and military figures: consuls, praetors, provincial governors, legionary commanders, each demanding unquestioning obedience from those beneath them. You navigate this complex web daily, understanding the subtle currents of power, the shifting allegiances, and the constant dance of deference and assertion. It is a world where every gesture, every alliance forged, every word spoken or left unsaid is a strategic move in a continuous game of influence and control, all operating within the framework of a society that, while appearing immutable, always held a silent potential for subtle shifts and precarious balances. Even as the Emperor's authority shimmered at the apex, casting a long shadow over the entire empire, you understood that the unspoken rules of social mobility offered a tantalizing yet often illusory glimmer of hope or a chilling threat. While the fundamental divisions of Roman society were stark, carved into the very bedrock of its existence, some limited social mobility did indeed exist. A particularly shrewd freedman, through immense wealth, accumulated in trade or craftsmanship, might rise to a position of considerable influence, even gaining the respect, though rarely the full acceptance, of the established elite. A plebeian family, through generations of military service or political savvy, could eventually attain senatorial rank. These were rare, challenging paths requiring extraordinary effort and often considerable fortune, but they served as proof that the hierarchy, while rigid, was not entirely static. However, crossing these lines, even informally at a party where inhibitions were loosened, carried significant social risks. A patrician who became too friendly with a lower-class merchant, or an equestrian who married outside their expected social circle, might face subtle but powerful censure. Such actions could be perceived as undermining the very fabric of the established order, inviting scorn and potentially isolating them from their own class. Status, you recall, was not simply given by birth. It was constantly being asserted, subtly reinforced through every interaction, every carefully chosen word, every gesture of deference or command. The weight of centuries of tradition, the expectations of your ancestors, and the watchful eyes of your peers all conspire to keep you firmly within your designated social lane, a powerful invisible hand guiding your every move. This brings us back to the core engine of Roman life, the core economy and resource management, which tirelessly fueled the excess you enjoyed. The Roman economy you recognize was firmly rooted in agriculture, a vast productive machine that provided the essential sustenance for both the surging population and the extravagant lifestyles of the elite. The cultivation of staples like grain olives and grapes spanning vast estates across Italy and the provinces formed the bedrock of wealth. This agricultural bounty, however, was beautifully complemented by extensive trade networks that stretched from the shores of Britannia to the deserts of Arabia, bringing in not just necessities, but also the luxuries that adorned your villas and graced your banquets. This powerful combination of robust internal production and far-reaching external trade generated the immense wealth concentrated in the hands of the elite, allowing them to lead lives of unparalleled opulent consumption. Indeed, land ownership was the primary economic driver, the true source of enduring power. Control over vast agricultural estates, the latifundia, and valuable urban properties within Rome itself provided the fundamental resources for patrician and equestrian wealth. These lands were not just sources of food, they were profit-generating enterprises yielding grain for the city oil, for lamps and baths, and wine for the ever-present cups. This constant flow of resources, both for sustenance and for profit, directly fueled the extravagant social displays that defined your world. Your family's prosperity, therefore, was literally tied to the earth, its fertility, and the efficiency of its cultivation. You understood that even the most elaborate party was at its heart a celebration of successful harvests and carefully managed estates. And who, you often wonder, makes all of this possible? The answer remains constant and profound: slave labour as economic backbone. The widespread institution of slavery was absolutely crucial to the Roman economy, the silent, omnipresent engine that allowed the entire system to function. Slaves provided the indispensable labour for agriculture, toiling in the fields, ensuring the harvests. They were the domestic staff managing your villas with quiet efficiency. They worked in various industries from mining to manufacturing, contributing to Rome's economic might. Their unseen, uncompensated work propped up the entire system, making the elite's leisure and elaborate social events possible. Their presence, though often ignored, was the foundational reality upon which your glittering world rested, a constant reminder of the deep inequalities inherent in Roman society and the source of the subtle background hum that permeated every aspect of your life. You move through your lavish villa from one perfume chamber to another, understanding implicitly that the glittering facade of your life is underpinned by a meticulously organized economic structure. While you might not delve into the daily ledgers yourself, you are aware that a sophisticated currency and tax system is the intricate nervous system of the Roman Empire, essential for both the state's functioning and for the accumulation of the wealth that facilitates your extravagance. The denarius, the aureus, the various coins that circulate through the vast empire are more than just metal. They're units of power, enabling trade, paying legions, and ultimately enriching your family. Taxes such as the infamous new tax on olive oil that might directly impact your estate's profits are a necessary evil. They fund the infrastructure, the military, and the public services that maintain the very stability of the empire, ensuring the continued flow of goods and resources that ultimately benefit your class. This complex system allows for the seemingly endless supply of resources that manifest so spectacularly in your daily life, and particularly at your grand parties. The most tangible and visible evidence of this economic power beyond the vast estates is the luxury trade and imports. Your ability to command exotic goods from across the known world is not just a personal indulgence, it's a powerful statement of Rome's far-reaching influence and your family's exceptional economic might. Imagine the vibrant silks from distant China carried across perilous land routes. Consider the exquisite spices from India and Arabia, their potent aromas transforming your cuisine. The rare wines, the fine marble, the precious gems, each item tells a story of global connections, of arduous journeys, and of the immense purchasing power wielded by Rome's wealthiest citizens. These imports don't merely fill your villa. They fuel the visual and sensory spectacle of your parties, transforming them into veritable showcases of international reach and personal opulence. Every shimmering fabric, every fragrant oil, every exotic fruit is a testament to the seamless integration of global trade into your luxurious existence. This flow of wealth, however, is not simply a passive accumulation. It is actively managed and distributed through the pervasive patronage system. You as a person of standing are almost certainly a patron with a vast network of clients who depend on your support and protection. These clients, perhaps eager young men seeking political advancement, artisans looking for commissions, or even poorer noble families in need of financial assistance, offer their loyalty, their votes, and their services in return. This system forms a key part of the economic and social structure, directly linking economic power to social influence and political leverage. Your wealth gives you clients, and your clients provide you with a power base, a loyal following, a ready workforce, a network of informants. It's a reciprocal relationship, a silent agreement where your economic might translate into tangible social and political capital, ensuring that the foundations of your lavish existence remain unshaken and that the delicate balance of power is constantly reinforced. This system, like all others, is woven into the fabric of your daily life, and even the seemingly frivolous aspects of Roman existence. Now, as you settle deeper into this understanding, it's worth a moment to consider the omitted content notes, what we are deliberately not exploring. You're not delving into detailed descriptions of medieval English fashion, nor are you concerned with ancient Egyptian beauty rituals, or the history and daily life of Roman Vestal virgins. These topics, while fascinating in their own right, exist in entirely different historical and cultural spheres. Your focus remains laser-sharp on the Roman elite party and its intricate dynamics. This deliberate exclusion serves to keep your mind anchored in the specific realities of your current Roman experience, preventing any distracting historical tangents. It ensures that the immersive atmosphere remains focused on the scents of wine and roses, the feel of fine silk and the subtle dance of power within your villa without the intrusion of wimples or pharaohs. Ultimately, these foundational realities weave together to form the rich tapestry upon which Roman elite life unfolds. The very air you breathe, thick with the scent of ambition and rose petals, reminds you that these Roman gatherings are intricate social machines meticulously calibrated. Every element, from the grand architectural design to the most delicate pastry, is carefully constructed to serve larger purposes of power status and control within a rigid hierarchy. The casual observer might see only a lavish party, but you as a participant understand the deeper currents, the unspoken agendas that animate every interaction. The wine may flow freely, but the deals struck are rarely spontaneous. This sophisticated system of control is in part enabled by the foundational realities of Roman society. The immutable social hierarchy where your birth dictates your destiny provides the rigid framework. The agrarian and trade-based economy fueled by slave labour generates the immense wealth required for such displays. Even the implicit knowledge that the masses outside your villa endure starkly different realities underscores the exclusivity and power of your position. These are not merely historical facts. They are the living, breathing context that gives every detail of your party its profound meaning. Consider again the weight of clan identity or genes. It is an invisible force, yet stronger than any chain. You're not just an individual. You're a living extension of your family's history, its triumphs and its potential future. Every action you take at this party, a witty remark, a strategic alliance, even a seemingly innocuous flirtation, is viewed through the lens of how it reflects upon your entire lineage. This collective honour, this deeply ingrained sense of familial responsibility, is a powerful motivator shaping your behaviour and enforcing a pervasive social conformity. The fear of bringing shame to your ancestors is a far more potent deterrent than any written law could ever be. This intricate interplay of personal action and collective consequence creates a constant subtle pressure. You learn to navigate the shifting currents of gossip, to anticipate the judgment of your peers, and to carefully manage your reputation. The party, for all its intended pleasure, becomes a gladiator arena of reputation management, where every word spoken, every glance exchanged, and every alliance formed or broken is meticulously catalogued and judged. The chilling prospect of being that guest forever remembered in hushed tones and footnotes ensures that your every move is calculated, every smile a performance designed to enhance or protect your standing. The very success of these gatherings, then, is a testament to the host's profound social engineering. They're not simply throwing a party, they're orchestrating a complex political and social event. The guest list, carefully curated based on status and utility, ensures that the right people are in the right place to advance their own and the host's agendas. The strategic seating arrangements, the carefully timed entertainment, the subtle redirection of conversations, all these elements conspire to create an environment where influence is wielded, alliances are forged, and power is subtly reaffirmed, all under the shimmering veil of lavish hospitality. It is a world where even a simple invitation is a calculated social flex, a powerful statement of one's place within the Roman social hierarchy. The essence of a Roman villa party, then, is not merely in the gentle clinking goblets or the scandalous whispers, but in its profound reflection of the wider empire. You've journeyed through the intricacies of the social fabric where communication is a performance of wit and discretion, and where non-verbal cues carry as much weight as any spoken word. You've seen how the invitation itself is a calculated social flex, a carefully orchestrated signal that places you within a specific exclusive sphere, navigating the perilous dance of eye contact, the subtle art of the effortlessly scandalous air. These are not trivialities. They're essential survival skills in a society where every micro-action is under scrutiny. The entire evening is a constant scrutinized performance, a tightrope walk of humour and innuendo where saying everything without saying anything is the ultimate mastery. You understand now that the cultural disciplines, from the performative act of wine consumption to the erotic and symbolic theatre of food, are not just for entertainment. They are tests of character and social acumen designed to reveal your true nature, your wit, and your ability to navigate complex social cues. The spectacle of entertainment, from the barely clad dancers to the suggestive odes, acts as a catalyst, subtly dismantling formality and signalling a shift in the evening's permissible boundaries. The gradual undressing, both literal and metaphorical, reflects a deeper loosening of inhibitions, a carefully managed descent into indulgence, where timing and subtlety are everything. And the flirtation, an Olympic event in subtlety, transforms the villa into a charged space of unspoken desires and calculated possibilities, all underpinned by a morality as flexible as yoga in sandals, justified by the convenient invocation of the gods. The spiritual frameworks, even when implicit, reinforce this intricate dance between belief and behaviour. The divine justification for hedonism, the modelling of behaviour on the gods themselves, and the intellectual acceptance of hypocrisy as a dual nature of man. These provide a cultural license for the excesses you witness. Yet beneath it all, a superstitious undercurrent, the fear of doing it badly, serves as a quiet check, ensuring that even indulgence has its unwritten rules. Your understanding of augury and omens, your attunement to the ritualistic element of celebration, adds a layer of ancient mysticism to the most earthly of pleasures, reminding you that even in revelry the cosmos is silently watching. And through it all, the deeply pragmatic realities of love, marriage and family life anchor these fluid interactions. Marriage as a pragmatic alliance, the constrained agency for women even amongst the elite, the view of romantic love as a literary construct. These contextualize every flirtation and liaison. Concerns over reputation and adultery, even amidst the debauchery, maintain a subtle pressure for discretion, ensuring that the foundations of the clan are not openly threatened. For the ultimate weight in this society, as you have keenly felt, is that of clan identity. The suppression of individualism for collective honour the clan as the primary source of identity, and the generational impact of actions. These mean that every single move you make reverberates through your family's past, present and future. The gladiator arena of reputation management is perpetually open, and the cost of misplaced compliments or giggles can unravel an entire life of privilege. You're forever aware of this, which is why these Roman gatherings are so much more than parties. They are intricate social machines carefully designed to serve larger purposes of power, status, and control within a rigid hierarchy. They are where alliances are forged, reputations are made or broken, and the silent, intricate gears of Roman governance turn all cloaked in the intoxicating veil of luxury and pleasure. As the last embers glow and the final whispers fade, you're left with a profound appreciation for the layered complexity of this ancient world. The world outside your villa begins to quiet down the last sounds of the city's ceaseless activity, softening into a gentle hum. The torches in the courtyard have long since burned out, and only the distant glow of the moon casts long, soft shadows across the mosaic floors. The lingering scents of wine roses and ambition gently recede, replaced by the cooler, cleaner air of the late Roman night. Your mind, perhaps a little weary from the intricate social dances and unspoken negotiations, begins to slow its pace, drifting away from the grand spectacle of power and performance. You're no longer a Roman elite navigating the perilous waters of reputation and influence. You're simply you comfortable in your own time, far removed from the complex customs and rigid hierarchies of that ancient world. Let the echoes of the gentle clinking goblets and the knowing laughter fade as the images of sprawling villas and silent servants become soft, indistinct memories. Feel the gentle pull towards slumber, leaving behind the weight of clan identity and the strategic performance of daily life. The past in all its fascinating detail has played out its story for tonight,